Welcome to AQMD On The Air. I'm your host, Leora Alpern. Our guest today is a partner in the Los Angeles law firm of Latham Watkins and is the firm's global chair of the Environment, Land, and Resources Department. He is also the co-chair of the Climate Change Practice Group. His experience includes practicing in the areas of air quality, climate change, energy, and transportation. He has worked on several market-based programs, including the South Coast Regional Clean Air Incentives Market, known as RECLAIM, the Clean Air Investment Fund, and the US EPA's Clean Air Communities Program. He advises clients on a variety of other emission trading programs, including the California Air Resources Board's Low Emission Vehicle Regulation and the federal and state versions of the New Source Review Program. He serves on the board of directors of the Los Angeles Area Chamber of Commerce and was formerly a director of the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America, Southern California chapter. He also serves on the advisory board for the Edward J. Blakely Center for Sustainable Suburban Development at UC Riverside and sits on the South Coast Air Quality Management District's advisory committees. Mr. Bob Wyman, thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
The AQMD is charged with the responsibility of bringing the Southern California region into compliance with national ambient air quality standards and, as a result, protecting the public from harmful pollutants through regulatory and incentive programs with an approach that is growth accommodating. What can you tell our viewers about your clients' efforts in responding to this challenge of cleaning up the air of Southern California?
Well, I remember when my family first moved to Los Angeles in the mid-1960s from Montreal. My father was a president of an appliance company that was located here in Los Angeles, and I remember the evening he came home for dinner and he told us about the very first pollution control device that his company had installed here in LA to deal with smog. And I remember how proud he was of that. And I think that is a pride that's common to Southern California businesses, who are in general the cleanest industries in the world, and they're very proud of that fact. At the same time, I think that facilities here are a little bit nervous, that having done everything that they believe is technologically feasible pretty much, they're a little bit worried about whether future emission reductions can be achieved in a way that can keep them here in LA, or whether it will be so expensive that they might have to relocate or become uncompetitive. So there are concerns, but at the same time pride. And of course, these businesses have invested in new fuels, new engines, new boilers, the cleanest paints in the world. So they have a lot to be proud about, but we'd like to keep the economy as vibrant as we can.
Chambers USA has identified you as one of the leading national climate change practitioners. And you also serve on the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's Climate Change Working Group. What are some of the major regulatory challenges as well as opportunities for businesses related to the implementation of California's Assembly Bill 32, the Global Warming Solutions Act?
Well, it's important to step back when one considers climate change and how to stabilize the climate, because climate change is really a different problem than traditional pollution. It's the kind of thing for which there is no add-on control device. There's no scrubber you can put on a stack. There's no new material you can just clamp on. So it really requires pretty much the complete transformation of our energy and transportation economy. And so it calls for different sorts of strategies than dealing with traditional pollution. And so if you look at AB 32, AB 32 has some, but probably not all, of the elements that it needs to succeed. It does set performance standards for cars, for fuels, and for electricity, and that's a good thing. It also sets a price signal through its carbon market. But performance standards and a price signal are probably necessary but not sufficient elements. What it does not do, and what we really do have to do in this region to achieve our goals, is to streamline the permitting process. Because transforming the energy and transportation system will require an unprecedented amount of investment, more capital than we've ever really invested in our history. And to do that, I think what we need to do is have not only performance standards and a price signal, but we need to clear the way for investment. We need a permit streamlining strategy which can get these technologies in place right away. And unfortunately, Southern California, at the moment at least, is known for having the most costly and the most time-consuming permit program. So I would say that our biggest challenge is in dealing with the permitting of these new technologies.
Through stringent regulation and advanced technology, emissions from stationary sources have been controlled upward of 90%. making the goods movement system and other transportation or mobile sources responsible for over 80% of the air pollution in the South Coast Air Basin today. You have authored many articles and chapters on a variety of topics, including transportation and the strategies for reducing air pollution and addressing climate change. Based on your experience, what needs to be done on the policy angle in order to develop strategies for reducing air pollution and addressing greenhouse gas emissions from transportation sources?
Well, I think most people would agree that the focus on transportation sources over the past 50 years has been on fuels and engines, on the technology, and not on the overall use of our transportation system, that is, its efficiency. And given the population that we have here in Southern California and that we anticipate growing in the future here in Southern California, we probably will pretty soon get to a point where even with the cleanest fuels and vehicles, it won't be enough to achieve our environmental goals. And that means that the inescapable challenge for us will be, how can we make our transportation system itself more efficient? And this means dealing with the freight system in a way that is more efficient, and it means dealing with passenger vehicles in a way that's more efficient. So I think the challenge for us in the future is to link our freight system between the ports and the roads and the rail system more effectively, and probably sending a signal to people who use the transportation system, either for passenger vehicles or for freight, so that they use it more efficiently, whether that's a price signal or some information system. These are issues we'll need to debate. We have looked at these issues in the past, working with some of our clients. In the mid-1990s, for example, we looked at an incentive-based system that would send a price signal based on those uses of the transportation system which were inefficient, and then refunneling or retargeting those dollars that are collected into infrastructure to improve the technology and to make the system more efficient. That's one way that we could consider to make our system more efficient. Just to give you an illustration, collecting something like a penny a mile in Southern California could yield $1 billion a year, which we could use to invest in a better transportation system overall. Whether that system is used, that approach is used, or whether some other approach is used, I'd hate to predict. But we do need to think seriously now, I think, about how to make our transportation system as a whole more efficient.
Before we close, could you explain how AQMD and other regulatory agencies can work with businesses in order to assist in the implementation of AB 32 and secure air quality co-benefits?
Well, I think there are four basic conditions that we need here. The agencies working together need to set very clear and long-term performance targets. And the second thing they need to do is provide a system that offers compliance flexibility, so facilities can choose and companies can choose the means of compliance on the time frame that makes economic sense, so as to maximize employment and minimize cost. And the third step is that the agencies need to work together. They need to harmonize their programs. So instead of having duplicative programs at the federal, state, and regional level, there's a single integrated program so that the actual means of compliance are streamlined and clear. And the fourth is to encourage investment. We need a faster permitting system, as I mentioned earlier. We need a streamlined system so that those investments that are consistent with our environmental goals should be investments that can hit the ground almost immediately instead of taking many years. So clear and long-term performance targets, compliance flexibility, a harmonized system among government agencies, and then streamlined permits. Those are the four things that I think can define success here.
Mr. Wyman, it's been a pleasure having you on our show. Thank you for joining us and for your leadership, passion, and commitment towards cleaner air.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Well, that's our show. Thank you for watching AQMD On The Air. Visit us at cleanairconnections.org to learn how you can help us clean the air that we breathe.